Hi everybody. I just wanted to take a moment and talk to you about this thing called muscle memory and the value of it and how you can train the body to utilize the right muscles for whatever activity that you're going to do. And then it becomes just second nature for the body to use the right muscles. The drag is that over the years we've may have used the wrong muscles or the wrong joints to do certain things, and that leads to injury and pain and swelling and all that fun stuff, and stiffness and other muscles that should be used not being used, so they atrophy. So I wanted to just take you through a couple of day-to-day activities as a form of exercise, and that way you will train the body to use the muscles that are necessary. It'll remember, so that when you actually do it without thinking, oh, I'm exercising, I'm actually just doing this thing, you'll actually be it'll just be second nature for the body to activate what needs to be activated and protect what needs to be protected. So the first and most important thing that I think I could ever tell anybody is to squeeze your core. And that's a hard thing for some because they don't know what that means. And the best way I can describe it is, I want you to imagine that there's a sponge inside you and I want you to think about squeezing it with your muscles inside, as if you're squeezing something tight right in the center of you, kind of right where your belly button is. And the muscles that are protecting your spine will squeeze around the spine to protect it. Okay, there's tons of muscles in there. I'm not going to get into what they're called or any of that stuff, but what I want you to just imagine is that squeezing of a sponge. And I want you to spend a lot of your day thinking about that sponge. I want you to make it a priority. I want you to set the intention. The first thing that you get up, I want you to go, I'm going to squeeze my sponge. And I want you to do that. I want you to squeeze this sponge that's inside of you. It isn't really, but you know what I mean. Until you get used to that natural way of being, so that anytime you're going to create movement, your body's protecting itself and it's squeezing they're basically your balancers, their stability, they're protectors, and they're hugely important. So we have to remind the body, and then eventually it becomes second nature. So we're going to train it, remind it, and then it'll become second nature. All right, I've babbled enough about it. I'm going to show you a couple of things so we can do this. I'm going to suggest you grab a chair, because we're going to do a little bit of balancing work as well, because that does activate the core. All right, I'm going to challenge it a little bit. All right, so grab yourself a chair and also grab a can of some sort. All right, and we're just going to mimic some typical day-to-day activities, and we're going to do it repetitively, so it's going to be a little boring. I'm really sorry, but it's important stuff. Okay, all right, so grab yourself a chair, grab yourself a can, pause this video if you need to, and then come on back. All right, so I'm guessing you're back, and you've got a chair, and you've got a canned good of some sort. Okay, so what we're going to do is, the chair is just to hold us stable for now, but eventually you're going to be able to do this without the support. But if you need the support, you're going to take the support. Okay, so let's first of all be wary of how we're standing. So we want to be at least hip width apart. So our center of gravity is always kind of the groin area. I don't know how else to put it, like the base of the spine. So if you think about that as kind of the pull to the ground, that's your stable. Okay, and just above that is where I want you to think about that sponge, and I want you to just imagine squeezing this sponge inside. Okay, so no matter what activity you're doing, concentrate on that first. So you're going to be very methodical in a lot of the things that you're going to be doing over the next few days, I hope, so that you really get professional about this whole movement thing. All right, the shoulders are neutral. The problem with the squeeze of the core is sometimes we think we're tightening up. You're not, you're pulling in. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is the idea of you reaching into a cupboard and pulling out a canned good or a bag of flour or a coffee mug or something like that. So if you need to, you're going to hold on to the chair, and then I just want you to mimic that action. So the mimic of the action, you're tightening up in the core, you're going to go onto the balls of the feet to reach, and you're going to reach up and then pretend that you're pulling that canned good down. Shoulder joint doesn't rise up. Okay, so we're working the arms of the muscle, the upper back, a little bit of pectoral to pull that back in, and for sure, that sponge of yours, that core. Okay, your knees are not locked in. So let's do that. You're going to be doing 10 slow and methodical, reaching to get the can and pulling it back down. And then you're going to do the other side. So you're going to turn it around. Sorry, Herschel, I just scared my dog with that. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I want you to do 10 at least. And then if you can work up to 20 or 25 of them, and I want you to do this every day. I know, super boring. Okay, but it needs to be done because we're reminding, we're creating neurotransmitters and making sure that the muscle connection, the mind-body connection happens. Okay, so that it's just going to become second nature, that when you go eventually without the chair and without this tutorial, without you thinking, you're going to squeeze up, you're going to go on the ball of feet, you're going to be able to keep your balance, you're going to reach up and pull down, and you're not going to use the shoulder joint to hold the weight. Your muscles are going to do it for you. Bicep, tricep, upper back, the deltoids, the muscles around the shoulder, a little bit of pectoral, definitely that core. Okay, so 10 on one side, 10 on the other side, and then I kind of want you to work your way up to 20, 25 of these things, okay? Until you become natural at it. And you can really feel, I want you to be so aware of what you're doing, all right? Like really, really be cognizant, really be such a mindful mover for the next few days, a couple of weeks, however long it's going to take. The second one is sitting down and standing up, because that is problematic for many of us, in that what we tend to do is, the sitting down isn't so bad, but the standing up is, because we put all of the work onto the knee joint. We kind of roll up onto the knees. I'm fairly certain that most of us don't even engage the core when we actually go to sit up, to stand up from a sit down. We probably don't even engage the core when we go to sit down. We tend to just sort of like flop into our chair. So I am asking you again to think about the sponge, the core. I want you to squeeze that core as you come down into the seat, okay? So I want you to squeeze tight and see how slow you can get into that chair. Now, if you need to, hold on to the side of the chair and see how carefully and slowly you can get down. Now, you might not be able to do that at all. You might be like, oh, I'm going to try this, and then fall into the chair, and that's okay. Okay, just have yourself a little giggle and try again. Okay, or start at the top really slow, and then come back up. So we're going to break it down. So just a little bit of the way, and then drop down. Okay, same with coming up from the seat. Okay, we're going to break it into two. So there's the half, the push off, and then there's the stand, right? Both need the core to be activated. So if you're coming from a sit, the first half of it I want you to practice is just you tightening up, getting ready to lift off. I don't want you to get any further than that. Just whoop. So what I'm doing is I'm squeezing my quads, my hamstrings, my glutes, and my core. I'm just getting ready. I'm pushing down in my heels. I'm making sure it's a 90-degree angle with my legs. Push. Push. So I'm just pushing down. I'm creating resistance. I'm counter-resisting so that I can use that force to get me up. And then the second half, hold on, go halfway, stop, and then squeeze the core to push yourself up into a stand. Okay, and then from here, just do little ones, as if you're just finishing getting up from the chair. Keeping that core crazy tight. I want you to just concentrate on the core, all right? So first half, all you're doing is squeezing. You're not getting up. I know, it's kind of silly, but it really works. Okay, so you're pushing down, squeezing the glutes, so your bum, squeezing the quads, the front of your legs, squeezing the hamstrings, the back of your legs, which you might not feel, but trust me, they're getting activated by pushing into the heels. Push, push down. Don't get up, just push. Push yourself off. Okay, so we're gonna do 10 of those as well. And then you're gonna pull yourself up to a stand, and then you're gonna do the top half. Keeping in mind the core is crazy tight. It's your core that gets you to that stand. So rather than pulling forward into the knees and really damaging that joint, you're gonna end up coming straight up from that stand. Now, yes, you're gonna need some support, I'm sure, but that's okay. All right, so we're gonna get used to the idea of squeezing the core. So 10, the bottom half of us sitting up or standing up, and then stand up, and 10 of the top portion of the final stand from a sit. Okay, so they're basically just shallow squats, keeping that core squeeze, squeeze that sponge in, and it's just reminding the body to use that as its sort of main stabilizer rather than the knee joint trying to hold all that weight. We're transferring the weight to where it needs to be, which is in the core. Okay, so those are the two kind of functional moves. And then we're going to talk a little bit about balance, because falling down is a big thing, and losing your balance and feeling sort of out of control that way, that's not fun. So we're going to do a couple of things that are going to be challenging. I'm sure they're challenging for me as well. And we need the chair. All right. So for the balance portion, where this is really trying to help with fall prevention, and it's going to sound very simplistic at first, but once you do it, you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Okay, so holding on the chair, I want you to bring your feet completely together. Now, if that's not possible, just get them as close as you can. Okay? And then I want you to roll the shoulders up and back and slide your shoulder blades down and unlock your knees just a little bit. And don't engage your core. Just kind of hang loose. Okay? And feel, that you're not really feeling super steady. So then try the squeezing of the core and tell me that that doesn't sort of create a little bit more balance for you. Now, if this is no problem at all, I want you to then close your eyes and do the same thing. Do it without the core, so just let your stomach kind of hang loose, let your shoulders hang loose, and then squeeze that sponge inside of you and tell me if it doesn't help you feel a little more secure and maybe strengthen and lengthen the spine a bit. Now from here, hang on Herschel, from here, if that's okay, I want you to open your eyes and I want you to look side to side, either holding on to the chair or not. If you don't need the chair, don't hold on to it. And do it nice and slow. And then if that's okay, look down and look up. Trying to keep your balance. And if that's okay, then close your eyes and do the same thing. Look side to side with your eyes closed. If you feel a bit dizzy, that's perfectly normal. Just hold on to that chair. And then down and up and down and up. And just be aware of that squeezing of the core. Feel if your body's moving around a little bit, okay? Holding on the chair if you need to, otherwise just challenging that body a little bit more. Now the second part of this makes it way more difficult, okay? And that is when you're going to place your feet in tandem. So we're going to have one foot right directly in front of the other, so the heel hits the toe, okay? So it's this. Okay, now this is really challenging our center of gravity and where we hold our weight. So you definitely want to squeeze that core in here. So squeeze that sponge tight and hold tight. Now, if this isn't challenging, if you don't need to hold on, now the chair you can hold on, full hand, finger, both hands if you need it. Okay, like you're gonna practice this and experiment with this. Now from here, same deal. Look to the side. Look to the other side. See, I'm wobbling a little bit. Look to the side. I'm squeezing my core now. Look to the side. And then look down. Whoa. And look up. My back leg is definitely navigating this. I can feel it. And then try it with your eyes closed. Side. Side, down, whoa, whoa, and up. All right, so that's that. And then of course you're going to switch. You're going to switch feet and you're going to try it like this. And again, remember, squeeze that core tight and just stand here for a moment, unlock your knee and keep the core nice and engaged and see how that feels. Do you feel yourself wobbling around a little bit? Hold on to the chair if you need to. And then try the looking to the side. And try the looking down. And then do it eyes closed. And then do it eyes closed, looking side to side. whoa, and lower down and up. All right? So 10 or so of each of those side to side, slow. Don't make yourself feel dizzy from it, and give it a shot and monitor your progression. But really, I think the takeaway here is this core squeeze. It's so vitally important, and once you feel it, you know what I'm talking about. So I really hope that helps. So 10, and then work your way up to 20 to 25 of the reaches, of the half sits, right? Like going through the sitting process, cut it in half. And then doing the balance work where you're placing the feet as close together as you can. Or then the next step is tandem. So as soon as you've got the first part down, move on to the second part. Okay, I'm rambling, I know, but I just really care, and I really hope you're okay. All right, so make sure you have a chair to hold on to before you attempt any of this stuff. Of course, if you're already suffering from an injury, or if you have vertigo, this is not necessarily something that I'm going to recommend you do. Always follow your doctor's advice in that kind of situation. But the core squeeze is really what I'm trying to get across to you. So go forth and squeeze.